For me, I think the biggest thing that football taught me was how to overcome adversity.
At some point in your life, you're going to have some tough times.
You have to have that next play mentality.
That cohesiveness and that working together, that's really something special that you can't get in a lot of other areas.
When you practice that and you live that in other phases of your life, it becomes second nature because all you know how to do is fight.
It's not an easy game. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
You start to appreciate the smaller contributions that people make. You don't just look at the big one because you knew it took 6 or 7 other guys who are unsung.
And you can't take shortcuts and be successful.
Doing what they do to make it possible for the guy getting the press clippings or whatever it might be.
In this game, whether it's as a coach or a player.
So I would certainly say that you definitely got a very quick lesson in how to overcome adversity playing football.
Welcome to another edition of Talking Ball with the Czar. I'm Emory Hunt, the Czar of the Playbook, here on the campus of Washington and Lee University with head football coach Scott Abell. Coach, I appreciate you taking time.
Thanks, Emory. Appreciate you being here.
I'm a big football fan, so I watch a ton of football. We cover a lot of football here at Football Game Plan. One thing I noticed about you, this is your 6th year here. You've seen the highs of 2 ODAC Coach of the Year awards, which is outstanding in a very tough conference. You also seen the lows of a losing season. But in this landscape of college football, you've built a consistent, stable, winning program. How have you been able to do that in this landscape where it's so ever-changing across the board?
Well, I think it's a really good question. I would start, it starts with our players. I mean, our strength are our kids. You know, we have unbelievable young men here, high character, really are goal-oriented young men. All our success is really due to their commitment. We're a high academic institution here, so we don't get exceptions. So really, our average test score is well over a 30 on the ACT and well over a 1,300 two-part. And those are our players, those are our kids. And so, for us to be successful, we have to recruit those young men that really love the game of football and are willing to work hard and dedicate themselves to it. And our kids have. And so, it does start with the people, and not just them, but our staff. I'm very blessed to have a great staff. We've had one staff change here in my 6 years, which I think is very unusual, especially in a small college atmosphere where guys are trying to move on, and that's a huge compliment to our staff and how committed they are to the university and to our program.
And when you got here, did you initially find it tough to make that transition as far as the players getting those guys to buy in, or was it seamless?
No, nothing's ever as seamless as you want it to be, is it? Probably the difficult part was, when I arrived here, I was arrived here for the offensive purpose, and being an option-oriented coach, coming into a program that what really was a spread program, slinging it around, and had begun to run some inside zone read stuff, but what we do is much different. So that was really the transition. Our system really wants to employ. We put 3 running back type bodies on the field at a time, and there was 2 whole running backs in the program when I got here. So yeah, that was a transition, trying to marry what we wanted to do offensively to what they were previously doing until we were able to recruit those kids. But once we started recruiting, there a lot of guys out there like to touch the football and want to carry the rock, so that wasn't hard.
Coach, you guys are one of the tougher teams in Division III on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that's an important foundation. Was that important for you to lay initially when you got here in 2012?
Without question. I think, at the landscape of college football and high school football and football over the country is changing. Certainly some of the physical aspects of the sport are changing, and the rule changes are good. I do believe that. But between the whistles, it's still a physical game, and I believe that more often than not, the more physical teams can give themselves a chance to be successful, especially inside the trenches. Mm-hmm. And for us, offensively, to really be successful, it does start up front. And we've had quite a few All-Americans, over these last 5 or 6 years up front, and it really has to do with our success running the football. And we believe most of our success starts with our downhill running game. I mean, we're very multiple in our option game. We're a spread option team, so the ball is really being distributed a lot of different ways to a lot of different kids. But if you look at the numbers, when we get it going downhill, we're pretty tough to defend. And I think that naturally lent our defense to being a more physical defense. When you're in an option program, defensively, when you go against your own offense, you're going to be a tougher defense. You're going to be a more physical defense. And I give Coach Berlin and Coach O'Brien, our defense coordinators, a lot of credit. It's not easy being a defensive coach in an option scheme, and they do a great job of that. And they've really challenged their kids from day one to match the physicality that the offense plays with, and we have. And you can see that over the numbers. In the last 5 years, I think we're over 90 turnovers, 90 takeaways.
Wow.
As a defense, that's a huge number. And offensively, we're averaging just under 370 a game running the football. So those are great numbers. If you really want to look at numbers that you can say, okay, it's consistently success, 90-some takeaways, 370 yards rushing on the ground, I think you're going to have a chance to win more games than not. And that's really what we want to do. We want to give ourselves a chance to win games. And I think you see that in the fourth quarter. The style of football we play tends to take a toll on our opponents, we think, as the game goes on.
Coach, you've been extremely successful in a very tough conference. This is like the SEC of Division III as far as the ODAC is concerned. How tough is the ODAC, and how hard is it to win week in, week out in this conference?
Well, the parity is probably really like none other across the country in our league. We have a lot of good football teams that really on any given Saturday, can beat one another, and that's what makes it so challenging. It's it's a brand of football that is very physical, very athletic on the edges. You get some really special athletes. I think people who haven't had the opportunity to watch some of the ODAC or watch our league play very much would be surprised with the level of athlete and the size of athlete that is on the field. Regularly we're going up against offensive lines in our conference at 6'3", 6'4", 290 to 300. That look more like a Division I line, and so that's somewhat it's a challenge for us at times. But it's a great conference. It really is. Our success is really it starts with our guys and their ability to really buy into what we believe will make us successful here, which we talk about our style of play, but it's more about being committed to the overall goal of seeing your team succeed, and that's what our guys buy into. And I think our brand of football it really gives us advantage. There's not many guys doing what we do out there, and so we're the difference in the conference. In a conference. You got a couple pro-style teams, you got a couple let's spread around sling it teams, and then here we are. We're somewhat a spread team, but we're an option team in the gun. We're not under center like every other option team. We're in the gun, running our stuff, and it's a unique setup that I think has certainly given us an opportunity to be successful. But it's something we probably don't talk about enough. But we're a national school. So kind of going back to the academic piece here, it's very competitive and very tough to get in here. I mean, the guys that we're recruiting against schools like Davidson and the Ivies and the NESCACs up in Wash U and St. Louis and Chicago. And that puts our school on a national map. That enables us to recruit nationally. So we can get in Florida and steal a couple kids, or in Texas, or even get some California kids on our roster. And I think that makes our experience even better here for our guys. But it certainly helps us when it comes down to trying to find those right fits, because we are the smallest roster in our league. So we're a 75-man to 80-man roster, which is incredibly small at the college level. But our guys do everything. We don't have a travel squad. We don't have a JV squad. We're going out to California to play a game next year. Everybody's going. We're not leaving anybody at home. But that also means that we got to find those right fits, because just about everybody in our program is playing a meaningful role of some kind. But every week's interesting. Every year's interesting. In 2015, our championship year, our last championship year, I think we were picked 5th or 6th in the preseason poll. But that's how it goes. And last year, we finished 2nd in the league and Macon, who won our league last year, I think was picked 5th. So, it is such a competitive league with one another. And you got to be willing to bring your best week in and week out. And you got to be mentally tough. And those are some of the things we talk about a lot. And I think it certainly has given us a chance to be more successful than not.
This was a tradition-rich program. A lot of people don't know this was one of the original members of the SoCon, which was pre-SEC, which was essentially the SEC back in the day. 1957 Gator Bowl against Wyoming. This is a real good football tradition. You're right down the street from VMI. Do you think, or how important is tradition to you? And is that something that you are able to preach and stress to each one of these players that puts on this general uniform?
Well, it's real important to us. We think the foundation of everything that we're able to do and that we've given the ability to do in today's time comes from, our predecessors. And, we have such a storied history, and it's a unique history. When you look at some of our common opponents, and you look at the game logs from the time we started football and who we've played, who we've beaten, into where we are today, I think it's probably one of the more unique stories in college football. Matter of fact, last year ESPN did a little thing on Alabama about their run. Had they not joined the SEC, who would be their arch rivals, right? Mm-hmm. And W&L came up. Some of our footage came up, not against them, but like our today's team said, Washington Lee out of Virginia might be a team that Alabama would be playing every year had they not moved into the SEC, which is kind of crazy. But our quarterback got a little, Charlie Nelson got a little pub on ESPN for that, which was nice. So it's a unique story. We talk about it a lot. In 2015, we completed really the second undefeated season in the history of the program, and we invited back the 1961 group who had completed the first undefeated regular season to join us. Game 10 up at Shenandoah, and to this day, I've been blessed and been a part of some special teams, and as a player and as a coach, and it was one of the best moments I've ever been a part of, having that group there in our locker room with us as we took the field. You could see the emotion on their face, our guys' faces, and that's the kind of tradition we really want our program to be recognized for, and we're proud of that, and we hope our guys take that with them when they put on that jersey. We talk about our trident a lot, which sits on that helmet. When you put that helmet on, you put that jersey on, understand what that means, and for all those that came before you and how important it was to them that we carry that with them.
One of the major questions I always ask coaches is about philosophy, because I'm a big person on picking successful people's brains in any field to figure out what makes them successful, and you have been outstanding here at Washington and Lee. What's one piece of your philosophy that has laid the foundation for success for you? Well,
I think for me, it's really about coaching people. Football's one thing, X and O's. I think there's a lot of ways to be successful. People prove it all over the country. There are coaches that are more successful than I that throw the ball 50 sometimes a game, and there's a lot of successful people doing a lot of different things. But to me, it starts with coaching people. I think the relationships you build, the relationships you foster between player and player, player and coach, administration and coaching staff, your alumni community, your community on campus. I think that's what it's about for me, and I think that's why I love it so much. I love the relationships that we're able to build as a coaching staff here, and our players. They're unbelievable people that I know that we as a coaching staff will have a relationship with them for forever, and we talk about that. We want to be a part of it. When you get married, we want to know when you have your first child. And we talk a lot about those things. We talk about serving others, and so to me, my philosophy is really very very little about football. It's more about people, building those relationships, and growing strong and foster those relationships.
I can tell because I'm looking around the office, see a lot of pictures of just people, and,
Yeah.
and those are a part of accolades. And I can tell you're a person that has a lot of passion, a lot of love for the game. What is it about the game that you love the most?
Yeah, I think probably the competitive spirit of the game. In football, probably more than any other sport, and I know probably coaches from all over the world or the country that may see this from other sports will disagree. It's a true team sport. Everyone has to come together. Everyone has to do their part, their little role, and if 10, we say this all the time, if 10 guys are right and one's wrong, we're wrong. 11 jobs for 11 reasons. We say that a lot. And I think that team aspect, seeing a team come together and then competing at a high level, it's just unbelievable for me. It really drives me, it drives our staff, and I think it's that competitive spirit that we hope our guys will take on the field, and that they'll take in life, because we talk about that. That the lessons learned out on that field are going to help you in life. You're going to jump off sides in life sometimes, right? You're going to turn the ball over sometimes. Life's not going to end. You got to figure out how do I make amends for that. How do I get that ball back?
Right.
How do I get the next stop? What happens next? And so I think it's that competitive spirit that we hope will not just help us here at Washington Lee, but will help our guys once they graduate and move on.
Coach, even with all these options students have nowadays, and you're looking at from East Coast to West Coast, FBS to NAIA to junior college, there's a ton of options for students nowadays, and students are much more involved in the process as far as recognizing these programs. Why would a student athlete choose Washington and Lee, and what does the student athlete that attends Washington and Lee obtain?
Well, what we tell our recruits and our players, choosing Washington Lee is really about choosing an experience. And that's really what we want for our guys. When they come here to play football for us, it's really, football is only one part of what they do. They're joining a family here at Washington Lee, a football family that will be a part of their lives forever. Hopefully they're going to have a chance to be successful, be a part of some exciting games, enjoy the experience, but also they're going to get a world-class education here. I mean, I'm a football coach. That's what the good Lord blessed me to be. But our guys come here. Most of them are pre-med and business majors, engineering, pre-law. Those are our majors. And so the big picture for them is coming here and do something they love to do, being part of something special, which is hopefully a championship year at some point during their career. We're proud that every player that's come through our program since 2006 has won a championship of some kind, and so hopefully they'll have that chance to have that experience and that type of moment. But more importantly, they'll get a chance to get this great education, really take a great step towards their next goals in life, and at the same time build some great relationships that hopefully are going to be with them for a lifetime. I tell guys, if you want an experience that is really going to be holistic in nature, and you're going to love it, and you're going to be pushed to be your very best, but at the same time you're going to be celebrated when we reach those peaks, and Washington Lee is a great fit for you. For looking at the big picture of college football, and Division III offers such a great opportunity for young people that maybe aren't, they're not quite tall enough. Mm-hmm. That happens, right? Or maybe you didn't quite pop the 40 time that somebody was looking for. So Division III offers an opportunity for young men to continue to do something they love to do, which is play football at a high level. And at the end of the day, very few guys go to the NFL. Right. So why not choose an opportunity or an option that's going to allow you to have a great experience, to be a part of something special. And I think that's really what a Division III program offers. And I think it is a great level of football. I'm so happy that I'm a part of it and represent it. And I'm excited about our future here at Washington Lee.
Well, Coach, listen, this school has everything that I look for: education, location, and great football tradition, and great play on the field. And we wish you the best of luck moving forward. I appreciate you taking time.
Thanks, Emery. I appreciate you being here.